That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us.
This was one of the episodes that made me kind of lock me into this podcast.
Really?
Yeah. It was one of the, it's one of the, like, the defining moments for me on the podcast. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-host. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
It can. Have you killed the conversation this week? Because you've been traveling some. You've been in a car.
No. I think we had some good conversations. There was a point in time where my daughter accused me of doing too much research on a particular topic, or us as too much research on a particular topic. I said, well, I said that for like
on the show.
Yeah. I said, well, we never do it during the show. But for something like your background of being a pharmacist, of course you're going to look up a couple things.
Yeah.
Just to refresh your memory on your profession. So
I don't know that we've ever been accused of doing too much research.
That's right.
What did we too much research on?
I guess the whole idea of the whole pharmaceutical, because I was explaining
the pharmaceutical pricing.
The pharmaceutical pricing. I was explaining what we were talking about and how we were doing it, and like, you're doing too much research. I'm like, well, he knows everything.
It's the interesting part is I know enough to be dangerous, because pharmaceutical pricing is really, you've got people specializing in that.
Yeah.
And that's not what I specialize in. So I know about it. I know a lot, and I know a lot of the historical part of it. But it's complex, as we said.
Well, speaking of something that we know nothing about, I think this topic came up, and I actually ran it by my daughter and a friend of hers, and my wife and her mom and another friend of theirs when we were visiting University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and they're right there in Knoxville, right through some of the athletic fields and parking lots are practically train yards, because the trains were moved through that part of Knoxville, down by the river.
We love a good train story.
Oh, well, we do, don't we? We do like a good train story. In fact, this was going back to episode 28.
Episode 28?
28.
We're almost on 200.
Yeah, 28. This was one of the episodes that made me kind of lock me into this podcast.
Really?
Yeah. It was one of the like the defining moments for me on the podcast. I was locked in.
310 to Greensboro.
310 to Greensboro, which is a reference to a movie called 310 to Yuma.
Yes.
But it's all about a train. It's all about a train, catching a train.
Yes.
Our particular story, 310 to Greensboro, we were sitting at the 321 diner. Or 421. 421 diner.
It's better than 321.
Eating the Thursday special was likely meatloaf and some kind of gravy.
Yep.
We were in the back porch.
Yeah.
And we're out back there, and a train pulls up. The diesel engine. And I think he only had 2 cars to attach them. So he pulls up, stops. He gets out of the train to go eat lunch. Everyone's entitled to eat lunch.
Yes.
But he left the train running.
Yeah.
And that's where we kind of pondered the idea of, could we steal a train?
Yeah.
Could we go get there and take it for a joyride?
Yeah. To Greensboro and back.
Right. Yeah. We wouldn't take it long.
Yeah.
And then I think later on we heard about another story where someone actually did that in Florida.
Yeah.
And drove it for many, many miles.
Yeah.
And
they brought it back.
And he brought it back. There's just so much fun going on there. But I heard the news. It was another podcast. It was a news type of podcast. And maybe you listen to it. Marketplace. You ever listen to Marketplace?
I listen to Marketplace.
Okay. So then you probably heard this.
I haven't. I listened to it more when I drove every day.
Ah, okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
so I haven't heard some of the recent.
This was a segment on Marketplace.
Okay.
And and no one else had heard it, so I kind of described it, and they were incredulous.
What is it?
So my question to you is, on average, actually, let's just call it last year. Last year, about how many train robberies were there?
Train robberies?
Train robberies.
We still rob trains?
Well, then I throw out a number based on that question.
Nationwide, U.S.
Nationwide, 2024.
1,000?
Keep going up.
2,000?
It's over 64,000 incidents of train robbery.
64,000.
64,000. And that's up about 30 to 40%.
What are they robbing?
That was up 30 to 40% from the prior year.
Well, what are they robbing? What are they taking off a train?
Can you believe this?
No. I didn't know we still did that.
One of the math that we ran is that means there's about 178 thefts per day. On a train.
Are they just taking stuff off boxcars? Or are they walking up down the aisle saying, stick all your valuables in a bag?
It's a little more, yeah. So what they're doing is they're robbing the boxcars.
Okay.
They're stealing cars.
Wow.
What they do is they cut airlines. Somehow they either they are on the train when it starts out, it gets out into the middle of nowhere of California or Arizona. They cut an airline. The airline sends a signal to the engineer saying that there's a brake problem. And he's got to, I guess the regulation says he's got to stop the train and inspect it. The trains are 3 miles long.
So this must be out west.
Yeah, the trains are 3 miles long. Can you imagine how long it would take to walk to the back of the train?
Well,
3 miles.
Tommy.
It'd probably take you about an hour to get back there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because Tommy Lee Jones says that, an average human over flat ground can travel 4 miles an hour?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it takes about an hour.
So yeah. So I mean, so this is a well-oiled machine. They know which box cars to get. They break the lock. They throw all the stuff out of the box car onto and they're actually their containers, the big freight containers, but also the box cars.
Yeah.
They throw them onto the ground, where then some other people come up with their trucks, load up the trucks, and off they go. $2 million worth of Nike Air Jordan shoes were swiped
off a train. You'd have to make sure it would stop near a road, though. Which I guess there's plenty of train tracks that parallel roads.
Yeah, or I mean, there's also plenty of out in the desert. You can just drive and drive, and all these railroads often have access roads that are close by.
You've got me, man. I would not. That didn't sound right. That we still have train robbers.
I'm telling you, it's 64,000.
Especially moving trains. Like I could almost see a train being robbed in the yard.
Yeah, right.
And to stop a moving train.
And that's probably happening.
Absolutely.
That's probably happening too in the yard.
I travel, as you know, by train up to Manassas fairly routinely now.
That's right.
And the thing that's been very surprising to me is the train station I get on in Manassas, very nice.
Yeah.
It's not manned.
Is it not?
So if you have an issue, they've got a phone number you can call, but there's nobody at the train station
to help you out.
No.
Oh man.
And on the one in Greensboro, when you get back at night, there's no one there either.
Who checks your ticket? Do they still check it when you get on the train?
They check a ticket when you get on the train.
And as the train's leaving?
Well, before you get on, they'll check it. You have an electronic ticket and they'll scan it. But there's no security.
Oh, yeah.
No. You don't go through a metal detector.
Yeah.
No one stops you and asks you a question. There's no overhead saying, have you packed your own bags?
Yeah.
There's nothing. So I can imagine just from the passenger train, there's even less people on a freight train.
Oh, yeah. There's nobody on a freight train.
Right.
Has your train ever stopped on your way up?
Yes.
What did it stop for, do you know?
I've had several stops. So it has stopped.
So you know what's going on when it stops?
Mm-hmm. They'll tell you.
They're a robbery. I mean, think about the odds now of being on a train during a robbery. You might not know what's going on.
Right.
But think about if 178 thefts per day are happening on trains, you got to think that when your train stops, someone's offloading themselves some iPads.
Well, my train doesn't carry any freight.
Does it have? It has none.
It's all passenger.
Okay. Does it have cars?
It has cars. Well,
the owner's cars?
Not my train. The I-95 train does that. It's called the Auto train.
Auto train.
And so You could have a train like one on there, but we do stop to allow other trains to pass.
That's right. That's another time when the thefts occur.
Is when you're sidetracked.
Yep. When you get sidetracked for another freight train to go by, and everyone knows what the sidetracks are. You just wait. You just wait for the sidetrack.
You wouldn't. You have to cut the brake line. In
No,
that
you don't.
instance, just break into the box.
That's right. You're just waiting. And these thieves know how to read the containers and the box cards and decode. They know what's in these things, or at least they can get online on certain systems and figure out what's on these trains. It's way too wide open for them to figure this out.
Are they putting anything in place to stop this?
They're not putting a whole lot of money in security to prevent this. Now, the police are responsible for investigating, but more than likely, these things are happening in rural areas. The sheriff's department that out there doesn't have the resources to hunt down. The issue with the Nike, they hired their own security firm to figure out what happened to them to get them back. But if your train is stopping, you're getting robbed, and you don't even know it.
I guess it's now just part of doing business, right?
Yeah.
It's just a cost.
It's a cost of doing business.
That's a shame.
Isn't it? And guess who's paying?
Well, we are. They'll get passed on.
It's going to get passed on to us.
Seemed like there'd be something pretty easy to help. We should be able to figure this out.
I would think, I would think, this is where drones would come in, right? You basically have a set of drones mounted to the top of your train cars, okay? And they're just there. But as soon as the train stops, they're up and flying, and they're giving somebody in the front and in the back a way to see what's going on.
Or you could start putting here's what you do. You get a box car and you put that labeling on it like you're talking about Air Jordans.
Yeah.
But you pack it full of SWAT.
SWAT, that's right.
And so when they stop it,
as a sting,
then they crack it open, and a bunch of SWAT guys come up.
Right.
There you go.
But that's more people, that's more cost.
That's more cost time.
Yeah, but
they should be able to solve it. I like the drone idea.
I think the drone idea is pretty key right there. You could have, you wouldn't need many drones because they could cover a lot of area. Yeah. You could see them immediately, call it in.
You could call in the license plates of the trucks.
Also, it shouldn't be, I feel like it shouldn't be this easy, to decode what's in a train car. Now, some of this might be insider deals, right?
Yeah.
That the dispatcher or whoever is at the yard knows exactly what's on there because they're calling their buddy, say, hey, car number 27 is going to have some good stuff.
Yeah.
You might not be able to prevent that. The other thing you should be able to prevent is them breaking into it.
Making it hard to do.
Making it much harder. That might be because that's a little bit more of investment. But, we got to stem the tide. 64,000 over 64,000 robberies is unacceptable.
Or
I can't afford this, man.
Come up with brake lines that can't be cut very easily.
Well, that doesn't stop. Yeah, you can do that, but that doesn't stop the sidetracking issue. Yeah. Right.
That's how much freight, did they say how much freight moves in America by train? I'm sure it's a ton.
It's a ton.
Yeah.
It's a bunch.
It's interesting.
And it's a fraction of the cost of moving it by truck. That's the other thing.
Really?
It's very inexpensive.
Yeah, you guys compete with the trains?
Well, absolutely. I don't, but the trucking companies.
The trucking companies.
Yeah, they definitely compete. Sometimes it's cheaper to put the truck on the train and move ship, not the tractor, but you've probably seen it. You've probably seen the actual trailer from a semi on a flatbed of a train getting moved across country.
This is a sidetrack.
Yeah.
As we've been talking about sidetrack.
Well, be prepared to get robbed.
Are all these containers that go on the back of 18-wheelers, are they all standardized like sea, land kind of things that they can go on the truck,
they're all,
come off the truck, go on the truck,
they're
go on the boat?
That's called intermodal. And they're generally either 24-foot or 48-foot.
And they're all just modular.
And they're all modular. And they do make a 53-foot version. But that'll cost you extra.
Huh. So it's cheaper to move things by, so they're just going to say this is a cost of doing business and not worry about it.
Right.
That's too bad.
It is. But it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that there's that many. When we were running the numbers, 178 per day.
That's a lot. You would almost think that you would see one. I mean, if there's 178 per day, unless I would like to know like the geographic breakdown, number one.
Yeah.
Where they're occurring. I bet not a lot of them are occurring on I bet the sidetrack ones are occurring on the East Coast.
Maybe.
In populated areas.
So the thing is, you think if it's a populated area, you could set up set up a little bit more security.
Yeah.
Passive security, right? You don't need active, just passive security. It's probably, I think it's way out in the middle of nowhere at night.
Right.
And the one question that one of the friends asked is, what is an incident? What is a theft occurrence? I mean, is it, if a boxcar is broken into, that's one. And if 20 are broken into in the same stop, is that 20?
Right.
I gotta believe that's part of the math. Is that if a train gets sidetracked, it stops, they break into 20 boxcars, that's 20 incidents. That's not just one incident.
Oh, really?
But I don't know.
Boxcar?
I don't know. I mean, 178 per day?
Do 18-wheelers get hijacked?
There's a theft issue with 18-wheelers also. Not necessarily being hijacked, but broken into when the truck is stopped.
Oh, when the truck stopped or something.
Being hijacked happens sometimes, but I haven't heard much of that. It's mainly just the theft behind the.
I bet if they ever caught, I may have to Google this.
Yeah.
I bet if they've ever caught one of these things on camera, they are in and gone in seconds.
I bet you there has to be.
It has to be super fast.
Yeah. I mean, I bet you it was like a cartoon. The train stops and it's I mean, these boxers
just throwing stuff off.
Flying out. And then a truck runs up, a bunch of people run out, load them up, and off they go.
Well, as we get more sophisticated, I think thefts are going to be like, I could almost imagine that at some point thefts will take place by a drone. Like you could throw stuff off and have big drones that like just airlift it out.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're making the drones now with 3D printers.
Oh, you can put 3D printed.
Mainly the chassis and the propellers. They've got massive these like the military drones. They've got massive warehouses of 3D printers, and they're just cranking out the drones.
Wow.
And then you have to assemble the electronics into it, but it's all snapped together. It's real inexpensive, real easy to put together. Your expense are going to be the motors, the battery, and I mean, even the computer is probably coming way down in cost. I
want to be part of the train team now that rides the rails and protects the trains.
I wonder if that's
train marshal.
I wonder if that's a service we could start.
Yeah.
Train marshals. We would have to ride in the caboose.
You'd ride on top. That way you could ride back and forth across the top of the train.
You'll never make it through the tunnel, man.
That would be a fun job.
Oh, I bet you it's dangerous. I bet you they're bad. I bet you they're guys.
Yeah, I mean,
I bet you they are bad people, and they. It's
very interesting. So I guess you saw the train yards in Knoxville, and that's what got you thinking about this.
Yeah, well, and we heard it on Marketplace too.
At the same time.
At the same time, then we got to the train yards, and it's like, good gracious.
Well, from what I've seen, I'm not surprised just because of the lack of security around trains is.
Yeah, passenger trains.
So there's no security on the other trains.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So when we were in Italy. Did I tell you about the train we rode in Italy? So
bullet train, right?
It was a bullet train. I sent you the picture of it. It went 300 kilometers per hour top speed.
What's that in miles?
180.
Wow.
180 miles an hour. Sometimes it would drop down to 120, but for the most part, it was.
Do you know the top speed on the Crescent going to Manassas?
No.
78.
Okay. 78 miles an hour?
78 miles.
That's still a pretty good clip for.
That was a good clip. Yeah.
The amazing thing about the trains in Italy, and think about how big Italy is. It's just one country. They have multiple train companies that compete for your business to move you.
Bullet trains?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. There's at least 2 companies that have bullet trains. And I don't know if they share the tracks or they have different tracks, but I mean, we can barely get one slow train in the United States that be profitable. And this is just Italy, right? This is just one country, and it's pretty amazing. And this train, it was smooth. You didn't think you were going 100 miles. I mean, it almost felt smoother than an airplane. Now, I guess it's 3 times slower than an airplane, but it was very quiet. It wasn't jostling you around. You expect kind of a train. It was a really wonderful ride.
If we had that here on the what they call the Carolinian, not the Carolinian, but the Crescent, going out to Manassas. That means that would take a 5-hour trip down to an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That would be crazy. That'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
We don't have that though. And if you're going 200 miles per hour, it'd be much harder to rob you.
Oh, yeah. And also, you have to have a dedicated line for that one.
Yeah.
You can't share with freight trains.
No.
Which you share with the freight train.
We share with freight trains.
Yeah. And guess who gets the priority?
Freight.
The freight does, because they own the lines.
Yeah. Freight gets priority. We get sidetracked. And when you get up near D.C., you're also sharing it with the Virginia Transit Authority.
Oh, really?
And so they have a whole section of trains that are moving people out of D.C. every day. So my train is sharing tracks with that train.
No
also.
kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's basically, I guess, an extension of the MARTA.
Okay.
Is MARTA Atlanta?
No, that's Atlanta.
That's
the
Atlanta.
Metro.
The Metro. I guess that Virginia Transit Authority is an extension of that to take people out of the city.
Okay.
These are double-decker trains. They're bringing people out.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
All right. This will go into the train collection.
That's right. We'll put that on
And I'll probably be Googling this.
Train playlist. And you're going to Google what's the way we can start a business to protect trains.
Protecting trains. So trains, chickens. I was just thinking of things that reoccur on this food.
Vehicles. Outdoor adventure. Things that, there's a group of things that just don't sound right to us.
I guess so.
And we invite the listener, if you have something that don't sound right, send a little voice memo to us.
Yep.
Record yourself, email it to us. That'd be a lot of fun.
All right. It don't sound right, but you've come to the end of the line.
Well, before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening and not jumping the track. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation train.
That Don't Sound Right is a production of TSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your co-host and sound engineer. Peter's your other host and does your web design. We need to reverse that one day so your name comes first. Camille's your barista. Emily does your graphic design. Ella does your Instagram. Giorgio tests your merchandise. Brent is your international brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.